Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Paschatale Shatarine Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gauravakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gauravakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we're continuing Madhya Lila, chapter 3, the ecstatic manifestation of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 1. After accepting the sannyas order of life, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of intense love for Krishna, wanted to go to Vrindavan, but apparently by mistake he wandered in the Radha Desha. Later he arrived at Santipur and enjoyed himself there with his devotees. I offer my respectful obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 2. All glory is to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glory is to Nityananda. All glory is to Advaita Prabhu. And all glory is to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya, headed by Srivasa. Text 3. At the end of his 24th year, in the month of Magh, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the sannyas order during the waxing period of the moon. Text 4. After accepting the sannyas order, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of intense love for Krishna, started for Vrindavan. However, he mistakenly wandered about in a trance continuously for 3 days in the tract of land known as Radhadesha. Text 5. Passing through the tract of land known as Radhadesha, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recited the following verse in ecstasy. Text 6. As a Brahmana from Avanti Desha, from Avanta Desha said, I shall cross over the indiscernible amount of nations by being firmly fixed in the service of the lotus feet of Krishna. This was approved by the previous acharyas, who were fixed in firm devotion to the Lord, Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 7. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu approved the purport of this verse on account of the determination of the mendicant devotee to engage in the service of Lord Mukunda. He gave his approval of this verse, indicating that it was very good. Text 8. The real purpose of accepting sannyas is to dedicate oneself to the service of Mukunda. By serving Mukunda, one can actually be liberated from the bondage of material existence. Text 9. After accepting the sannyas order, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided to go to Vrindavan and engage himself wholly and solely in the service of Mukunda in a solitary place. Text 10. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was en route to Vrindavan, all the ecstatic symptoms became manifest, and he did not know in which direction he was going, nor did he know whether it was day or night. Text 11. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went toward Vrindavan, Nityananda Prabhu, Chandrasekhara, and Prabhu Mukunda followed him. Text 12. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed through Radhesha, whoever saw him in ecstasy exclaimed, Hari, Hari! As they chanted this to the Lord, all the unhappiness of material existence diminished. Text 13. All the cowherd boys who saw All the cowherd boys who saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passing joined with him and began to shout out Hari Hari. Sorry, did I read that already? Text 14. When he heard all the cowherd boys also chanting Hari Hari, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very pleased. He approached them, put his hand on their heads and said, Go on chanting like that. Text 15. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thus blessed them all, saying that they were all fortunate. In this way, he praised them, and he felt very successful because they chanted the holy name of Lord Hari. Text 16. Calling all the boys in confidence and telling them a reasonable story, Nityananda Prabhu instructed them as follows. Text 17. If Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asks you about the path to Vrindavan, please show him the path on the bank of Ganges instead. 18 and 19. When the cowherd boys were questioned by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about the path to Vrindavan, the boys showed him the path on the bank of the Ganges, and the Lord went that way in ecstasy. 20. As the Lord proceeded along the bank of the Ganges, Sri Nityananda Prabhu requested Acharya Ratna Chandrasekhar Acharya to go immediately to the house of Advaita Acharya. 21. Sri Nityananda Goswami told him, I shall take Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the bank of the Ganges at Santipur, and Advaita Acharya should carefully stay here on the shore with a boat. 22. After that, Nityananda Prabhu continued, I shall go to Advaita Acharya's house, and you should go to Navadip and return with Mother Sachi and all the other devotees. 23. After seeing Acharya Ratna to the house of Advaita Acharya, Sri Nityananda Prabhu went before the Lord, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and gave notice of his coming. 24. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in ecstasy, and he asked where Nityananda Prabhu was going. Nityananda replied that he was going with him toward Vrindavan. 25. When the Lord asked Nityananda Prabhu how far it was to Vrindavan, Nityananda replied, just see, here is the river Yamuna. I'll stop here, brother.
Yes, Mother. Thank you, Mother. Okay. So we're starting in the third chapter today of Madhya Lila, Chaitanya Madhya Lila. So Lord Chaitanya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stay at the house of Advaita Acharya. So if you remember, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is divided into 2-3 major sections we discussed some time ago also. Adi Lila, Madhya Lila and Antya Lila. So we completed Adi Lila. Adi Lila was the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for the first 24 years of his lifetime before he took sannyas. Madhya Lila has the pastimes starting after sannyas, after 24 years of his lifetime. And then within Madhya Lila primarily is about 6 years of pastimes are described, and then rest of the 18 years are described in Antya Lila. So in the last 2 chapters, we heard a summary of the entire Madhya Lila, entire Antya Lila in a very brief format. Now we're actually going into details of each of those pastimes that we heard in brief in the last 2 chapters basically. Now third chapter. Oh, what happened? My mouse, something happened with mouse. Okay, let's go through. Yeah. Now Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who is the author, is starting to describe about the pastimes now. These are interesting sections now from one we'll see. Compared to the previous section was very high for us. This is a little bit still in, not fully in our range, but at least we can understand something like this. Now, text 1 is describing that after Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the sannyas order of life, he was in ecstasy with intense Krishna prema. He was in ecstasy. He wanted to go to Vrindavana. But apparently, by mistake, he was going in Bengal itself, in Radhadesh. He was wandering there for about 3 days, it is described in later verse. So then he arrived at Santipura. Santipura is the residence, one of the residences of Advaita Acharya is in Santipur. And there, Lord Chaitanya enjoyed himself with the devotees. I offer my respects to Sat Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is like a summary verse. So, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, if you remember, he makes a statement and he supports a statement or he elaborates a statement with what details further like that. So, he summarized certain Lila basically. And then, now he's going to go into details how this happened like that, one by one, step by step, he'll unravel. Now, he is glorifying Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Prabhu, and all the associates of Lord Chaitanya, including Srivasa. So now he starts to describe. So at the end of his 24th year, whose 24th year? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's 24th year, in the month of Magha, in the Sukla Paksha, the waxing period of moon, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted sannyas order, it seems. That means that's why we say first 24 years are before sannyas and next 24 years are after sannyas, like that, right? So that's what is a clear demarcation almost. So then many of these verses don't have purports. Wherever there are purports, I will elaborate. So text 4, after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas because of his intense, because of being in intense Krishna prema, he was he wanted to start. He started from Vrindavana, but because he's in that Krishna prema and transcendental ecstatic symptoms are still there, he mistakenly was going in trance in another place within Bengal called Radhesha. It seems he was going around because he's not able to see the directions like that. We'll see in the next coming verses also. So now Radhadesha is the name of a place, it seems. While passing through the tract of land known as Radhadesha, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recited one particular verse in ecstasy, it seems. What is that verse? That is the verse that is text 6, which is a verse quoted in Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto. Let me pull up that purport. 11th canto, 23rd chapter, 57th verse, it seems. This is a verse recited by Avanti Brahmana, a Brahmana who's there in Avanti Desha, it seems. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu liked that verse very much. So he was reciting that regularly while he's going like that. What is that verse primarily saying? That I shall cross over the insurmountable ocean of Nishyans, that means this material world, by being firmly fixed in the service of the lotus feet of Krishna. This was approved by the previous acharyas who were fixed in firm devotion to the Lord, Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this has a big purport by Prabhupada, like 2.5 pages purport. We'll go through some of the aspects that Prabhupada is describing in the purport. So the main point to take is that Lord Chaitanya thinks now that he took sannyas, his only business is to be firmly fixed in service of Krishna's lotus feet. That's the main point being stressed here in this verse. So we'll go through the details on the purport now. So Prabhupada is referring to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur commentary on this particular Srimad Bhagavatam verse, and he's saying that out of the 64 items of devotion service, one of the item is to take sannyas, acceptance of symbolic marks of sannyas. That's also one of the regulatory principles. But what is the real sannyas? Real sannyas is working devotedly for satisfaction of Krishna, not just accepting a cloth, sannyas cloth, but actually the attitude of service to Krishna. That is real sannyas, like that Prabhupada is describing. And Prabhupada is focusing on a word called Paratma Nishtha in the verse. That means being a devotee of Krishna. So actually sannyasi means it should be fully devoted to Krishna, like that. And Prabhupada starts to describe in the purport how impersonal sannyasis or Mayavadi sannyasis, they take ekadanda sannyas, it seems. That means one stick only they carry, it seems, in their hand. Whereas Vaishnava sannyasis, they carry 3 sticks. That's why they're called Tridandi sannyasi, like that Prabhupada is describing. So actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it was described in Adi Lila that he took sannyas from Mayavada community only, even though from Shankara Sampradaya, because that is most prominent at that time. And he wanted to, he wanted the purpose of his taking sannyas to be fulfilled, where everybody pays obeisances and they get benefited like that, right? That's why he made that choice. So now he, even though he took the Ekadanda sannyasa, but he recited this verse from Avanti Brahmana, from Srimad Bhagavatam, that that indicates he's approving Tridanda Sannyasa. That means as being a devotee of Krishna. So indirectly, he actually declared that within that one danda, there are 4 dandas like that. So Prabhupada writes further that sometimes devotees also add a Jiva Danda to the Tridanda, it seems. That's how they make it 4 dandas, 4 sticks tied together that sannyasis carry, right? Like that. So generally we call it as body, mind and intelligence, like that. And then also soul is the fourth one, looks like now. Now, Mayavadi sannyasis, what is their ultimate goal? They want to merge in the Brahman effulgence. And Prabhupada is indicating that's a marginal existence between the spiritual existence, spiritual world, and the material world, like that. It's in between state, like that. So, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is approving the Tridandi sannyasi by reciting this verse repeatedly, like that. So, other thing described is, Prabhupada describes additional detail that I did not know before, which is that the Ekadandi sannyasis, when they become sannyas, it seems they take away the sacred thread, number one. And they don't have the, uh, what is it called? Shika. They don't have shika on the head, it seems. Whereas our Vaishnava sannyasis, they carry shika and they also keep the sacred thread, it seems. Whereas the Ekadandi sannyasis, Mayavadi sannyasis, they want to go back to spiritual world, specifically to merge into Brahman, because they are fed up of the material world. With that intention, they're going. They don't have any positive motivation to go to spiritual world, like that. And then, yeah, Prabhupada also mentions that Gadadhar Pandit also accepted Tridanda Sannyasa, it seems. And he also had a disciple whose name is Madhava Upadhyaya. He also accepted Tridanda Sannyasi. And in fact, that Madhava Upadhyaya started the Vallabhacharana Sampradaya, it seems. And even one of the six Goswamis, Gopala Bhatta Goswami, also accepted Tridanda Sannyasi from Prabodhananda Saraswati, it seems. But Prabhupada is basically making the Tridanda Sannyasi is bona fide, like that. And then Prabhupada also mentions that Sridhar Swami, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted Sridhar Swami as ultimate in Srimad Bhagavatam translation or commentary, right? So even he was a Tridandi sannyasi, but Mayavadis thought that he is one among them, like that, it seems. The other description Prabhupada gives in the purport. Now going to the next verse. See, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu basically approved the purport of that particular verse, which is saying that taking shelter of Supreme Lord and service of Supreme Lord is the best thing we should do. And that is the real purpose of accepting sannyas, is to dedicate oneself to the service of Mukunda. That is a principle that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is stressing on, like that. So we can, through that only, basically, the sannyas order depends not on the dress, but the determination to serve Mukunda. That is the point being stressed in this verse also. Now, what else? What happened after taking sannyas? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to go to Vrindavan because in feeling of separation, like Radharani, right? He wants to go see Vrindavan, Krishna and Vrindavan, like that. So, and he also wanted to engage himself completely in service of Krishna, like described in the verse that is reciting. So, while Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to Vrindavan, he was going with ecstatic symptoms being manifest. He was not knowing which direction is going. And he did not even know whether it's day or not, like that. Such a state of consciousness he had at that time. So now, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went towards Vrindavan direction, Nityananda Prabhu, Chandrasekhar Prabhu, and also Mukunda Prabhu followed him, it seems. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed through Radha Desha, anybody who saw him in ecstasy like this, they also chanted Hari Hari. And when they chanted, all their unhappiness went away, it seems. So that's the glory of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just by seeing him, people are chanting. Just by seeing him, all their miseries are gone. Similarly, some cowherd boys are also there in that area. And they also, when the Lord saw Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they also joined him and they shouted loudly, Hari Hari, like that. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw that cowherd boys are chanting Hari Hari, he was very pleased with them. And he approached them, he blessed them by putting his hand on their heads, saying that go on chanting like that. Like now, text 15, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu blessed them all, saying that they were all fortunate. Why? Because they're chanting the holy name of the Lord. That way he appreciated them, praised them. He felt very successful that they're chanting the holy name of Lord Hari, like that. Then Nityananda Prabhu tries to play a trick on Lord Chaitanya now. Remember, overall theme is Lord Chaitanya is going to Vrindavan. Now Nityananda Prabhu is diverting him. Like this, this happens like this at least 3 times in Chaitanya Prabhu's pastimes. We'll see. This is the first occurrence now. So now Nityananda Prabhu, remember we heard about cowherd boys who were there. So he calls the cowherd boys, it seems, and he tells some reasonable story. We didn't get the details what exactly reason he gave, but he tells them, if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is trying to go to Vrindavan, so he'll ask you which way, which direction I should go to Vrindavan. Then show him the path on the bank of the Ganges. Where does that path of the Ganges goes to? It doesn't go to Vrindavan. It goes to Shantipur, where Advaitacharya is there. So he's diverting basically Nityananda Prabhu. So now, as he told, Nityananda Prabhu told, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked the cowherd boys, how do you go to Vrindavan, like that, which direction? The boy showed him the path of the Ganges only. And because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is full in ecstasy, he believed them, okay, let me go that direction, like that. He was started going. While he was going like that, Nityananda Prabhu requested Acharya Ratna, that is Chandrasekhar Acharya, to go immediately to the house of Advaitacharya and make arrangements, tell him some message. And then Nityananda Prabhu told him, I shall take Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the bank of Ganges at Shantipura. Shantipura is the place where Advaitacharya resides. And Advaitacharya should carefully stay there on the shore with a boat. That means he should be ready with a boat when they go to Shantipur like that. Then after that, Nityananda Prabhu continued, it seems. I will go to Advaitacharya's home and then you should go to Navdeepa. That's where Mother Sachi, Lord Chaitanya's mother, is there, right? And then bring back Mother Sachi and other devotees from Navdeepa. Where? To Advaitacharya's home. He's requesting Chandrasekhar Acharya to do that service. Like that, after telling Acharya Ratna Chandrasekhar Acharya to go to the house of Advaitacharya, Nityananda Prabhu went before Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then what happened? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in ecstasy. So he asked, Nityananda Prabhu, where are you going? Like that he was asking. Nityananda Prabhu replied that he was also going with him to Vrindavan, like that. But he's actually trying to take him to Shantipur. So then Lord Chaitanya asked Nityananda Prabhu, how far is Vrindavana? Then Nityananda Prabhu replied, just see, here is river Yamuna. That means we already came, like that. Meaning, actually that is Ganges, right? In West Bengal, Ganges is what is there, not Yamuna. Yamuna is there in other place, Vrindavan, near Vrindavan. So he showed Ganges because in ecstasy he told him that this is Yamuna. So interesting. This is the last verse for today. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu believes Nityananda Prabhu and starts to glorifying the river Yamuna with prayers. That's where we'll continue in the next session. We'll pause here. Basically, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was trying to go to Vrindavan and Nityananda Prabhu is redirecting him towards Shantipur. That's where we passed. And also we heard how in his ecstasy, he gave Krishna Prema to everyone who saw. All the people who saw, they also chanted the holy name and they also felt blissful in chanting the holy name, like that. We'll pause here. We'll continue in next session. Sri Chaitanya Chaitamrita ki jai. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Let's offer obeisance to Vaishnavas. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kupasandubhyevacha Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Thank you so much, devotees. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.